I'm Dan O'Leary, broker and lead appraiser here at Asset Real Estate Services, and this is your El Paso Real Estate Market Watch for April 2011. Here are the numbers. We sold 6 more houses in April than we did in March, and that puts us right at 363 homes sold for April. So we've kind of been off about 30% from the 2010 number since February. The market's still trying to get its feet under it from a volume standpoint. Our average sales price jumped to $175,435 from $150,546 last month. That's a 16.5% increase. And this can happen with just a couple of larger homes selling in a month, like we had last month. But I've heard from some of the builders of larger homes that the move-up buyers have quit waiting on the sidelines, and many are buying again. Average days on market were down to 92 days from last month's 120 days, which was a 14-month high. Once again, we might just be kind of seeing some data swing. There are 3,149 active listings on the market, which is up from 2,980 last month. Slight buildup of inventory going in the summer months, which is understandable given our slower sales. Interesting note that the average days on market for our sales was 93, but for the active listing, the average time on market is 123 days. It's actually higher. So this kind of points again that there are properties that are on the market that are sitting slightly too long. So if you've got a property that's been on the market for over 120 days, it may be time to renew your pricing model. Call your real estate professional or call my office and ask about our competition adjusted forecasting model. We spoke last month about the inability of the United States to generate a recovery from the Great Recession, as we seem to now be calling it. Although having spent trillions of dollars to try and create jobs, there still has been no real job creation. Maybe it's because governments don't really produce anything, and government jobs really don't add to the gross domestic product. Governments really just take capital out of the system, similar to the dealer at the Hold'em table. He just kind of takes his cut, but he never does add to the pot. So anyway, if we can't have a jobless recovery, how do we create jobs? I've got a simple answer: through housing. Historically, economists have looked to the uptick in housing starts to indicate that the economy is making its way out of a recession. I think the reason for that is that housing is still one of the largest industries where the product is still handmade in the community where it is purchased. The National Association of Home Builders documented the effect of 100 homes built in a community. It includes $21.1 million in local income and $2.2 million in local taxes, and 324 jobs. Reoccurring income of $3.1 million and 53 jobs as the residents continue to buy the goods and services there in the community. Housing typically accounts for 17% of our gross domestic product. So if housing can create jobs and lead us out of the recession, how do we stimulate housing? Simple. The last uptick we saw in housing was from the first-time homebuyer tax credit. It stimulated some sales, but it was expensive, as the government had effectively gave the home buyers back the money they spent to get into the home. It was a great program, but not sustainable. Now I've gone all the way around this tree so I can state my premise, and that is we can accomplish the exact same thing permanently without any cost to the government or to the deficit. We've done it before. It's time to bring back the seller-funded down payment assistance. We had them in the past, the Nehemiah program and other bond-type entities. They charge the buyer a little higher rate and a little more to the seller to help the buyer get in. Now some people are going to ask, isn't this what got us in the mess anyway? No, not entirely. I think that better underwriting and control that is in the system today has taken care of a lot of that risk. A bill was introduced to Congress, H.R. 600, to reinstate the seller-funded down payment assistance programs. And if you're in the housing industry, you should consider supporting this bill. We're hearing a lot of terms these days like green growth and sustainable growth and fighting urban sprawl. And I think what we're talking about is slowing down the growth of the suburbs and promoting, through better design and better land use, slightly denser communities. And they do make sense from an economic, environmental standpoint. But I heard an interesting counterpoint to this the other day. In the 1940s, they were encouraging people to move out of the urban cities for the healthier life in the suburbs. Now it appears they're trying to move us back into town. But the question I have is, will young families really buy into it? Or is it human nature to want as much room for our children as possible? If you've got an opinion, please leave a comment. Well, that's our information for April. Please forward this to anyone who would enjoy it. And if you got this and are not on our regular mailing list, you can subscribe for free down below. Have a great month.